One thing I always enjoyed while working for London Spitfire in Overwatch League was watching other Overwatch League teams play, seeing how particular teams would go about solving certain points on certain maps, what unique approaches and ideas they would have, and which of those we could use ourselves on London, which of those we could maybe adapt, or which of those we maybe just want to be aware of in case the team does it against us. And that's what I want to do in this video. I want to take a look at Team USA's Blizzard World first hold. Team USA didn't have a very successful World Cup, but they did have a very successful Blizzard World first hold. So let's take a closer look at why it works and how they chose to set up for it. Before we get into the action, let's take a look at how USA chose to start their hold. And it's a 3-2 group, 3 people on the main and 2 people on the flank, which is really common if you're playing a double flex comp, that you have a core group and a group to control the flank. What's slightly different that the USA are doing is they've got Baptiste Sojourn as the flank group and Illari, Sigma, Echo as the main group. Normally you'd see Baptiste, Sigma as the main group and then Sojourn, Illari. So Sojourn still wants to play this area because she's got nice LOS to shoot in this top area. She's also got a nice peek into this area to get an off angle. She can even mark this angle or jump up top. Lots of options for the Sojourn if she plays around this area to begin with. Likewise, there's pretty nice cover for Echo on this side. He can use these boxes, and he even has options to play from point and go over the top to look for an assassination. So initially, this is how the DPS have set up. But one thing that's really hard for RuPaul or any Baptiste is to consistently heal an Echo, because you just have to hit crazy air shots all the time to top them up. While the Illari, the beamers are more consistent, and especially the healing pylon is really useful for the Echo. So it makes sense to have the Illari and the Echo paired. As such, while you normally want the Bap and his cooldowns for the Sigma, actually, the Sig has enough cooldowns to survive on his own, and the Illari can play close enough to pocket him. So it makes enough sense to enable all the DPS. One thing that's really true for the flank side as well is, while, let's say you have Illari on the flank side and you have the healing pylon, it makes it really hard to push into this area because you would have to wide swing to kill the healing turret first. So Illari becomes really good at holding areas, but less good at pushing through chokes. Whereas the Bap's cooldowns with the shift and the lamp actually allow Hydron to be a lot more aggressive in this area. And the Bap can even jump up here and help with Hydron if they ever want to hard commit to taking this top area, for example. So I think it gives them a few extra options that you wouldn't get with the formation the other way around. So now we have a bit of an understanding of how they're starting. Let's see how it plays out in practice. Initially, we're going to see both teams just spamming. Quartz is going to try and take the high ground. And before anything really happens, USA are just going to find a pick. Obviously, it's great when this happens. You see here, Hydron's going to push up really aggressively, get the pick. And now you can see sort of a situation USA want, where they have Sugar-Free spamming from one side. They've got the Illari damage here. And they're able to quite hard pocket Hydron into this area here. All seems pretty reasonable. They get the opening pick. Then they're able to push forward. And we even see now, actually, after they've got that initial pick, you'll see Hydron and RuPaul choose to play very aggressively to get the second pick on this flank area. Lamp in, shift in, really make sure they get this Quartz kill. They clean up the rest of the fight as well. Now, as we move into this second fight, I'll be honest with you, it is just going to be another pick. It always helps on the hold if your team and your DPS just get picks for you. But there's some good decision making in it from USA as well. We see him default back to the same position. Again, RuPaul playing a little bit further back. He can hard pocket Hydron in. Still has a bit of an angle to Kaluge to help him out, or Lampin if he really needs it. You can see Sugar-Free's actually playing quite a passive spam angle, looking to try and spam this area at the same time Hydron does. Try and find an opportunity between them. And UV's even going to wide peek at this time as well. And all of a sudden, you can see Saudi Arabia having an issue where they're getting killed in this area before their team can really take space main. Once again, they're able to clean it up. They get the pick. And they're able to walk forward, force the rest of Saudi Arabia out. So, not too much drama so far. A couple of early picks, and they close it out. Now, Saudi Arabia, minute and a half gone. They're going to try and change their approach. And this is how you know if a team has a good hold or a not fully thought through hold. Because when a team does something different, do they have an adaptation to deal with it? Or do they just fall victim to a slightly different rotate? Here we're going to see Saudi Arabia taking this area as a whole entire squad. Good solution from Saudi Arabia. They've been dying here. So taking it as a squad makes a lot of sense. Now we're going to see the rotations come through from Team USA. Nothing too dramatic. Hydron and RuPaul just going to take a step back. Look to play and cover these areas. Sugar-Free and Ultraviolet don't really need to change too much themselves. Kaluge's going to lean a little bit more this way as well. Nothing too major. Saudi Arabia going to make a pretty crucial mistake here. And it's mainly not just UB is swinging so early. What Saudi Arabia actually want to do is a 3-man rotate this way, try and push out this area, clear this area, and then force USA to de-peak, but they de-peak into Quartz and Majid's LOS, and then they can find the kills. And they win through these guys by pushing them into their LOS. Team USA understand the matchup well, and they understand that when you're in a double flex mirror, the rotations for both teams are really slow. So you have to try and read what the enemy team's doing and react to it quickly. And for Saudi Arabia, UB actually gives the bag away way too early. They know what they're going to do because UB's already standing here spamming. So if we watch the decision making then from the rest of Team USA, obviously Hydron gets the pick, and that helps. But even if Hydron doesn't get the pick here, Team USA have already made important decisions. If we focus on this area of the map, what's happened is Kaluja's got a little bit closer. Rupal's gotten super close. Rupal wants to jump up here and push this area. You see UV and Sugar-Free have also moved in. They're all walking to kill this area. They want to exploit the fact this is a long rotation and try and move aggressively in the window. It really helps that Hydron gets the kill. But if we look at the decision making, look at this. Great synergy, all on the same time. Kaluja's going to walk and push in as well. They use the Illari ult. Maybe in hindsight they don't actually need the Illari ult because they'd read it so well. But the push is good. They punish these guys. They're able to turn and deal with Majid as well. So they even actually keep an even ult situation. And they'll eventually clean up the rest of these kills. All looking good for Team USA so far. And we're going to go into one more fight. And this time, I think Rupal is going to change his formation ever so slightly. He's going to pocket Rupal in. But now there's a lot of ults on the board, and we see Rupal shift to this way. So he's a little bit closer to Kaluj, more options to lamp him and de-peak with him. I think they're very conscious that Saudi Arabia have taken top and are probably going to try and go right side from Saudi Arabia's point of view again. So they're ready to de-peak some of the ults on this side of the map. Again, they put pressure on this top area. Hydron's very close, is able to shift out. All the ults are dropped now. You can see a similar idea from Saudi Arabia. They want to clear this side and try and push people into Quartz and into Majid. They over-ult this. They did this quite a few times actually across the World Cup where they window and sim wall on the same timing, and I really don't agree with it because both ults do the same thing. You don't use both to do the same thing. But if we watch Team USA's decision-making around this, what are they going to do? They're going to understand where the space is. The space is not in main because there's an entire Saudi Arabian squad, 2 ultimates. You have to de-peak main. The value will come through the flanks now. So you see Hydron's going to threaten this way. Likewise, Sugar-Free's gone from his passive position into can I make a play position. Rupal's attention is this way. Even Kaluj is looking this way as well. So can he find the value? If we go over to Sugar-Free now, we're going to see him play very aggressive on the flank. Gets the copy. Gets a nice Sojourn E off. Able to trade both kills. Kaluj is going to drop the Flux as well, which is pretty reasonable. It's obviously unfortunate that he does it just as Sugar-Free gets 2 kills, so it ends up maybe looking a little bit wasteful. But the Flux is good. Wait 3 seems to clear this area, and now Team USA can turn all their attention back to point to clean up these guys. They deal with the flank, then they deal with main. Really good from Team USA again. Good decision making. They'll eventually clean up these kills. Not too much drama, and we'll go into the final fight. Dagger looked her a little just for good measure. Now Saudi Arabia really on the ropes. They're going to swap over to May as well. Just try and win a more straightforward fight. Because so far, they've been shut down on the flanks every single time. We see a really similar situation again from Rupal in a position where he can pocket Hydron necessarily, but still leaning a little bit more towards Kaluja's direction. Obviously conscious that a Flux might be coming Kaluja's way, and he might need Lamp. They're going to start with a Flux. Hydron's going to get forced out. Illari ult comes over the top here as KSA drops the Flux as well. They have comboed Sojourn ult with this, so even though the Illari ult hits here, Quartz is actually going to find the one-shot onto Hydron. They trade 1 for 1, and now it becomes a pretty big dogfight. UV's going to try and push the flank aggressively, but because of how the ults have been used, Sugar-Free's not in position to follow with UV. Hydron died, obviously, in the Sigma Flux. So UV's actually pushing this angle by himself, and they get a little bit unlucky because UV's pushing this one-on-one, but Lubda's actually really switched on. So UV thinks he's taken an aim duel with Quartz here, but actually Lubda's switched on to this and is now looking. So UV just finds himself in a bit of a crossfire. gets taken down, and then this just really leans the map control over to Team Saudi Arabia, and they are able to eventually close it out despite a good rock and attempt to trade. So while the hold was really good, and this last one I think fell apart, maybe Sugar Free could have positioned slightly differently to be more ready to try and play for a trade or play more aggressively. Maybe they could have been more ready for the flux. I think it certainly hurts that Hydron was forced to shift out, then caught in the flux. Ideally, they would have wanted to avoid that. So a few potential changes for this last fight, but I think overall Team USA should be very happy with how this first hold is, and it certainly relied on Saudi Arabia to come up with a big ult combo to solve it, rather than any fundamental problem with the hold itself. This video focused a lot more on the specifics and the details of a team's hold on a specific point. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of content. I know a lot of my previous videos have been longer form, why a team lost a tournament, why a series started to go against a team, how a meta interaction works, but I do quite enjoy making these more specific videos about certain fights or certain holds. So if you want to see more like this, please let me know in the comments below and be sure to like and subscribe.